Hey everybody, I'm Captain Nate Cook from Fish Stick Fishing, and I wanted to take a minute today to talk to you about how to rig a flasher and fly. This is probably a video that's going to touch on a pretty beginner level of how to do this. Some of you may be a little more advanced, but for somebody who's just getting started with rigging up a flasher and fly, hopefully this video will be helpful for you in getting started. What I want to talk about first is talking about color selection. When it's really bright out, the sun's high in the sky, you've already been out for that morning in the dark a little bit, or you're just getting out for the afternoon, I like to use a brighter chrome flashier flasher. And when it's darker out or maybe really overcast, I prefer to use typically something that's got some glow tape on it, or more of like a white blade like this white Dragon Slayer. And what I've been doing recently is I've been having some really good luck pairing those flashers with a brand of fly called Salmon Candy Fly. And when I'm using the chrome flashers like these Chin Music flashers, things like that, there's a couple flies that have been working really well. One of them is called Illumination, and the other one is called Novocaine, and they're a brighter fly, flashier, and they match the flasher really well, and they've been really hot this year so far for me. To go along with the darker days or darker overcast conditions type flashers, Salmon Candy also has these other flies. This is a UV Mercy fly, and they also have a fly called Addiction. So these are good combinations for using when it's a little more overcast. Now, what I want to talk about is how to rig these up. And if you haven't done this before, hopefully this will be helpful for you. I've gone ahead and I've started to pre-tie a couple things so you wouldn't have to watch me do that on video here. But what I want to talk about is how do you attach your flasher to your fly in order to be able to troll with it for salmon. Now, the first key to this is making sure you're starting with a good quality treble hook. Okay, I've had to, in a pinch, use a treble hook that was a lot cheaper, and I've definitely lost fish on it when the barbs bend, pull out. Nobody likes to do that, so start with some good, high-quality treble hooks. And then what I like to do is I like to use either a 40 or 50-pound fluorocarbon leader. Right now I'm just using this Andy fluorocarbon, 50-pound. I've used 40-pound with success in the past also. But I've gone ahead and I've tied that to the treble hook already. And then I went ahead and I just pulled out some line. I pull out about 30 inches of line. That's usually what I start with to give me plenty to work with when setting up my fly. The next thing is picking out some beads. A lot of people use different types of beads. There's a whole bunch of different kinds. I've got some different UV beads. I've got some green beads, blue beads, a bunch of different colors. A lot of people have their own personal preferences when it comes to that. I'm just going to go ahead and put a few of these UV beads on here today and get that set up. Alright, now that I've got those beads on there, I'm going to go ahead and pick out my fly. Today I'm going to go ahead and just rig up this Illumination fly because I'll be using that in a couple days on a trip. So, go ahead and drop the fly onto the leader like so. And what I want to make sure is that when that fly is hanging there, it's going to drape down and it's going to cover the bottom of that treble hook. I usually like to make sure it's covered by somewhere around a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch or so. I don't like that fly, or don't like the hook exposed at the bottom. So about there is where I typically like to have it. And then what I like to do is I like to make sure that all of my flies are tied to the same length. That way the action that I'm getting with my flasher and fly combinations are the same in the water, and I can decide, okay, is that working? If not, I can change things up. But I've been taught to use a 24-inch leader, and it's worked really well for me, and so I'll pass that along to you. So in order to get a 24-inch leader, I like to start, I'm using my ruler down here, I like to get about 26 inches of line pulled out like that, and then I make a loop, and I just make a little overhand knot. What's nice about doing this is you don't have to add any extra hardware. You don't have to buy any. You don't have that clanking around behind the flasher. Okay, then I've got a little tag end here. I'll usually cut that off to about a 1/2 inch or so. There we go. Now I've got my loop. I've never had one of these pull out. It's been a really good way. A lot of people use them, I think. I'm going to go ahead and check and make sure I'm in the ballpark here. Yep, I'm at about 24 1/2. That's close enough. And so this one's set up. This one's ready to fish. All you got to do is just hook this loop right at the bottom of your flasher here. Hook it on, snap it up, and you're ready to fish. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, I'll take that one off for now. I'm going to show you right now how to tie up what's called a tournament rig. A tournament rig is basically taking your treble hook that I started with, got that tied up already, and you're adding a single hook like this to it, and it'll eventually look like this when it's all said and done. We're going to snell that into the line here. Now I like to get this, I'll show you here. The first thing you do is take the end of your leader and you're going to thread it up through the eye of the hook like so. Okay? And then you pull that all the way down until you get to right around that knot. Alright? And I don't like the hook rubbing on that knot there, so I like to have it up just high enough on the line so it doesn't rub on there. And then when I've got it in position, then what I'll do is I'll take this part of the line and you start to wrap. And you wrap it around. I like to wrap it around this shaft going down here like this about 8 times. Alright? Make sure you don't overlap your loop. So once you got about 8 wraps, then take your leader and you can push up through the eye of your hook like so, and when you snug that up, you're going to see you get a nice snelled looking hook on there. Okay, and when it hangs, hopefully they will hang pretty nicely together. I like that a lot. That looks nice. Okay, and then what you can do, because you have this hook in here, you actually have to use less beads. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to throw on a couple of beads. In this case, I'm going to choose a couple of green beads. Okay, there's one. Here's another one. Okay, and now that I've got those on there, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to rig up this Mercy fly. This is going to be for when it's a little darker, a little more overcast. And when I drape that on there, what you'll notice is it just covers those hooks, that's perfect. That's really what you're looking for right there. Okay? And then you've got that additional hook in there with your tournament rig. Again, same thing with this setup. I like a 24-inch total leader. So to make it, I go out to 26 inches. I'll make my loop, a little overhand knot, pull it through, and I've got my leader. Trim my tag end here a little bit, and if I measure this out, I'm right at that 24.5 or so. So I've got these 2 flies, dropped it. So I've got these 2 flies set up ready to go. Those are all set to be put onto my flashers, and I'm going to be using these at the end of the week, so that's going to be really nice. These salmon candy flies have been really hot this year. If you are looking to get your hands on some of those, I would definitely check out Anglers Avenue or TRS in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. That's where I get all of my salmon candy flies from. It's really nice. If you're looking to buy your own flies, you can do that there. They sell the flies. They also, if you are not quite sure or not quite confident and just want to get out and be ready and just all set up to go, they actually sell pre-rigged leaders. And what's nice about these salmon candy flies is that they'll slide right onto the leader and you're all set ready to go. You don't have to do any tying. You just slip the fly on that you want, clip it on your flasher, and you're all set ready to go. If you have any other questions, drop a comment after the video. I appreciate you watching. I really hope that by having these 24-inch leaders, using these salmon candy flies, that you're going to have some success this year. Leave me a comment. Check out my Facebook page, Fish Stick Fishing. Good luck, everybody, this year. Take care.